Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of HQ Behind the Scenes Live. This is kind of a last minute addition to our schedule, but I'm really glad we were able to get Tara Masu lined up and live with us today. She is the founder and the CEO of Blazin' Bakery. How are you today, Tara?
I'm good, Darren. Thank you so much for having me on. Very excited to be here.
So I'm out in Washington State. You're on the other side of the country, right? New Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey girl.
Yeah.
We have our ballot coming up in the fall. So right now everyone's busy trying to get the word out for that. So if you are in New Jersey or one of the 6 other states that have a legalization on the ballot, please get out and vote in November.
That's good. You guys can play a little catch up with us out here in the green state of Washington.
Oh, you guys are killing it.
Yeah. Tell us about yourself and about Blazin' Bakery.
Okay, so in 2009, I started Blazin' Bakery, which was the first brownie mix for herbal brownies. So this was my product. And if you guys have been at Champs or Big or any of those shows for the past decade, you've probably seen me or we've said hello. So that was the product that got it all started. In 2014, I was approached by Spencer Gifts, and it was carried in their 700 stores. So I've been, over 1,000 smoke shops nationally. And then I was vending up in Boston one year, and people said, students were coming up and said, I don't have a oven. I need to do it in a microwave. I need to be discreet. I live with my parents. So then I invented a microwavable herbal brownie mix. So, and what makes these mixes better is they optimize THC usage. They have soy lecithin. It moves through your bloodstream more efficiently, hits you harder, faster. And they work really well for masking the taste of any of that green bud taste as well. So that's my background. That's how I got where I am. And I've been working in activism for a decade now, going around the country. I recently expanded to CBD, and my favorite CBD product is my dog treats. So these have a proprietary blend of melatonin I'm calling melabonin. And so these are selling really well. I read reviews. I was buying them for my own dog, and I read reviews on Amazon. And I imagine, with cheap CBD, a lot of times it's used for soil remediation. So you have it coming in from overseas, from potentially nuclear waste sites, and it's great at leaching toxins out of the soil. But what unscrupulous companies are doing now is they're taking that cheap CBD, that disposable hemp, should be discarded. They're extracting it and selling it at a quarter of the cost of something coming from, an ethical grower in Colorado. Now, if I consume that, it's not great. If the dog consumes that, they could have liver or kidney failure. So
we don't want that.
No, there are fur babies. So
I have 4 of them around here somewhere, or they may come in during the interview. So,
I would love that. I try to keep my little guy in the lap sometimes for interviews, but he gets too ADD.
Well, I have a little guy and a big guy. I have a little guy, I have a puppy, and 3 big guys.
Very cool. What type of dog?
I have a puppy who's about 18 weeks, and she's a doodle.
Oh.
And then I have a Bernedoodle who's about 150 pounds. And that's not fat. He's a Bernese mountain dog and doodle.
Oh, Bernie. Okay.
And then I have an old mix that she's about 10 years old, and I rescued her a long time ago. And I don't know what she is, but she's a sweet dog.
Well, I have a 3.5-pound Chihuahua, and he's my first test subject. So if I know he's the canary in the coal mine. So if he doesn't die, I know it's okay.
So let's go back to the mixes for just a second. Just to clarify, there's nothing THC, no THC, no CBD in these mixes, right?
No. And they were invented long before the CBD craze. And that is what has made them available, be sold in all 50 states and internationally. I've had sales all over the world because they are optimized with natural ingredients, things that work synergistically with THC, but that does not contain THC. So.
And then can you give us a little idea about how easy it is to put some kind of an herb or CBD into that mix?
Yeah, I mean, easier than ever. Over the past few years, like I said, one of the ways I got on the map, I got Spencer's attention, was I did a how-to video many, many years ago. And for the time, it went viral. And because back then people didn't know how to extract THC, decarb. No one knew what decarboxylation was. So for a long time, I'd go to people's houses, I'd teach them. I would, there was a need for education, and that ship's pretty much sailed. And at this point, like, I don't even do it by hand. I have a Levo. That's what I would say. I would say buy the Levo 2 is unbelievable. You're decarbing in one step. It's, it's the Keurig of cannabis extraction now. And I have one. Ardent's great too. It's a little bit more work. There's a lot of
the herbal infuser as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to be sitting it with a crock pot or a mason jar and straining, and that ship sailed. So the easiest thing to do, and you can get them at blazenbakery.com. I sell a lot of those extraction products. Maybe I'll even, I just create a coupon code, HQ. You'll get some kind of discount. To be determined. $25 off Levo, 20% off everything else. So let's do that. But yes, that's what I would say. I would say go out or get it at your local smoke shop. I'm not biased, and use my mix, because you're going to get the strongest, the most expensive ingredient is your herb. So you want to optimize, right?
Right. So, how long have you been in the industry? What did you do before you started the bakery?
So I was a graphic designer and a marketer, and my father was dying, and I really just kind of took a look at my life and said, I'm really miserable. And I made a list of two things. One side was things I liked, and one thing was things I'm good at. And in those columns, it easily could have maybe been improv and Twizzlers, which are both great. But it was.
I almost wore my Twizzlers shirt today, actually. I should have.
Candy ever. Yeah, but it wasn't. It was weed and making websites was the two I landed on. So the first website I made was called weedgoods.com, and I was going to be the Walmart of weed. And then I realized that wildly violated paraphernalia law. So it's like all good ideas happened organically. I just made pot brownies one day, and me and my boyfriend, he couldn't drink anymore. So I was looking for other ways for us to basically have fun in our 20s. And they turned out really well. And his friends asked, and my friends asked, and their friends' friends asked. And I said, well, I don't want to be a pot brownie drug dealer, but maybe I could build the mousetrap. So then I did actually an year of R&D, creating. I worked with a friend who worked at IFF, Food and Fragrance, and someone a chef who went to pastry school. So I said, let's make the ultimate pot brownie mix. And that's pretty much what I did. And, I skated around for, the paraphernalia law and herbal brownies. And that was 11 years ago now. So it's been a slow progression. I've done a lot. I've gotten really involved in activism. I help run the largest cannabis trade organization in New Jersey right now. And I'm the largest single contributor to our medical marijuana legislation that was passed last year. First legislation we got across the line in a decade. So, yeah, I've been trying to fight the good fight and just make the world a better place.
So let's jump in the time machine and go back here just a little bit.
Sure.
When you got into this industry, did you have any perceptions or misconceptions about what you were getting into?
I thought there'd be more women around, which is something that did shock me. And I've become much more comfortable moving in a man's world, and most of my friends are guys at this point. But yeah, when I first went to these conventions, first off, it was such a great experience, all these smoke shop owners and their products. And it used to be like cannabis Candyland, now you go and everyone's in a suit and it's very corporate and everyone's watching on their best behavior, but it used to be fun. But I was usually the only woman at a booth. And more so than that, people didn't think it was my booth, because back then the booth girl was a very common phenomenon. Everyone had, their boobs up, and
it still is.
Do they still have booth girls?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
I haven't been to Vegas in like 2 years, and it was never as big on the East Coast. But I AC in New York, I haven't seen anyone. So all right, well, good for them.
Maybe it's more of a Vegas thing that they're already there, so let's bring them in.
Yeah, I mean, I have been a booth girl when I was younger, so it's not so far fetched, and it's fine. Gotta make money. However, power to them. But I own the business, so when people would think I was the booth girl, it was slightly upsetting, because they would be leaning over me and asking to talk to the guy I, maybe hired to help me out, or my boyfriend at the time, saying, "Hey, can I speak to the man in charge?" I'm like, no, I can speak to the woman in charge though. So that was one that surprised me. I grew up in a household where my mother was the breadwinner, and I always just thought everyone was equal. And so sometimes when I was treated a little less, it surprised me. But as a whole, really positive, and I'm actually really nostalgic for those days. I think the early days in cannabis was a golden age that I don't think we're going to ever get back to. I think it's become entirely too corporatized now. There's too much money on the line, and we're never going to have that sense of camaraderie and family and otherness. You know, we were the alternative.
Yeah.
Now, that ship sailed, so I do miss those days.
So now that we have entered more of the, we're going towards mainstream, and as you said, a lot of corporate entities and money coming into this. Has the discrimination subsided at all?
No, it has. It's on steroids.
Wow.
Because
okay.
Yeah, you don't have people who view this as a family, who everyone knows everyone and there's accountability. The things I have experienced in the past 2 years have blown my mind. In 2018, Governor Murphy said, we're gonna get cannabis across the line. And I went into full activist, oh my God, we're gonna do this. Let's rah, rah, rah. Before 2018, I owned one blazer. You know, cannabis, you show up in a t-shirt. Sometimes I throw the blazer over the t-shirt and then go, oh, I'm terribly overdressed, you know, because people were judging you on your merits and your products and your business. And that's just how it was. So 2018, I show up and now everyone's in a suit and I walk in thinking like, oh, I've been doing this almost a decade. I'm going to be the shit. Didn't work out like that. Everyone who came from a corporate background, who had been involved in cannabis 6 months, maybe a year, thought that, you know, who's this little girl? And I had been treated. I'll give you some examples of some things that were said to me.
Okay, thank you.
So, I was pitching in a corporate environment. I was in a, you know, like a boardroom, a conference room, and I had given the person a 35-page business plan, 5-year projections, you know, financials. I'm sitting up there doing a presentation in a full suit. And
so totally professional,
not a hint of any kind of, buttoned up. And I'm 2 slides in, and it's a picture of me back in the day at a booth. And he says, wow, look at you. You're really popping out there. Nice rack.
Yeah. Nice rack.
Nice rack in the middle of my pitch. This is a potential investor in front of me. And then I go to the next slide and he says, look, because I talk about the legislation I helped write. He says, look at you. I thought you were just some little brownie girl, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
And how old was this person?
I would say in his 50s. And
wow, that's shocking that they would do that. I know it happens, but
yeah, and I don't want to out anyone. That's not why I'm here. I want to raise awareness, but I will tell you they were in a very prestigious field. This wasn't someone who, you know, nothing against
what was your reaction to that when it happened?
I didn't know what to say because, you know, and sometimes I've told these stories to people and they'll say, well, their money's still green. And you think, yeah, money's money, but you're also going into a business relation with people and you want someone who respects you. But the reason I really want to raise awareness for, you know, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, is this person still comes up to me at conventions. You know, I saw him a few months ago. Hey, Tara, how you doing? Business, how things going? He doesn't know he did anything wrong. He still thinks we're friends. And you know, well, if you want to get to it, there was an incident of sexual, and that person kept texting me after. They didn't realize, you know, I sat in my car and cried. So it's, and I've been very inspired recently by the Black Lives Matter movement, because I give this country so much more credit than I thought, that we are actually seeing, you know, Black men and women pour out their hearts and speak their truth, and they're actually affecting change. We're seeing boardrooms and companies become more diversified. We're seeing people realize some of the ills and wrongs that were in society, that because it happened to you, you didn't know it was there. And I honestly think men are good and they just don't know that this is happening. And this discrimination we face. So here's one more example I'll give. I went into a pitch and the guy gave me this terrible lowball offer valuation. And it was through a broker who I met. He saw me speak. We're leaving the pitch and he said, that went really well. I'm so happy. So listen to this. I kept telling him there's this person you have to meet. You're going to love this person. Because I knew if I told him you were a woman, he would have never taken the meeting. And he continued, maybe if you were a doctor or a lawyer or something, but not you.
Even though you had this brand that was successful.
Yeah, and that's what I kept changing me. I kept saying, okay, I've put on the suit. Maybe I'm wearing too pink lipstick. So I start doing myself very conservatively. I say, well, you know what? I can't look feminine. Let me only start wearing muted colors. Nothing floral, because men will associate that with their secretary. And nothing against an administrative assistant. They have organizational skills I could never dream of. But I didn't want to be seen as anything that was the other, anything but an alpha, because I thought, why am I getting discriminated against? Why are they treating me like this? Why am I being sexualized? And I just kept trying to bury my personality, bury my femininity. And at the end of it, I went swimming in someone's pool and I wore a bikini and everyone was swimming. It wasn't like just me. It was, I went to the party, I didn't have a bikini on, and his cousin went and got me one. I'm playing with kids, blah, blah. I wasn't welcome at their house again after that because I'd gone to a colleague's, an event at their house and I'd worn a bikini. So then I started going home and Googling what's an appropriate way to act around business people in a pool. And it was, I went out and bought a one piece that I would never wear and put a sarong on and take it off at the last second and jump right in the pool. And I just started feeling all this shame about my body. And I eventually, till one day I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I am a shell of who I used to be. I am cramming myself into a mold of what I think will get respect. But what should get respect is my intelligence and my hard work and my background. And that was all being minimized. And then I read that statistic, 98% of money in cannabis goes to men. And I said, okay, it's not victim blaming. I always say I have my own power. I'm not going to be the victim. I control my destiny. And then I found out the game was rigged. And I was trying to fit myself and it was never going to be good enough because I have male friends who've told me they've gone into a pitch in a polo shirt and shorts. They've been stopped halfway through with no financials, no business plan, and said, I've heard enough. How much do you need? One guy told me, I have so much money, I don't even have enough ideas to spend it on at this point during the peak of the green rush. And
wow.
Yeah.
Have you run into any female investors?
Two.
Just curious how they reacted.
Yes. So two. One of them, and so about approximately 10% of all investors are female. So it's 90% males. Of the two I've pitched, well, one of them I never got to pitch to. She came up to me in an event. She was very sweet. She said, I love you. I love what you're doing. I want to invest in your company. Beautiful. Reached out to her and I told her what I do. She said, oh, my portfolio is technology. I said, okay, so that's not going to work out. Whatever. And then the other one I pitched to somewhat recently, and it was, I pretty much stopped pitching after the sexual assault. Because I just couldn't do it anymore. I felt all used.
Didn't feel safe. Right.
It doesn't even about safety. There was no Tara left.
Okay, it's just, I understand. Sure.
I'd rather put out one new product. I put this out. I have another new product coming out in a few weeks, and have some of my soul left than put out 30 products and keep feeling like I'm a shell of a human. And so the other woman I pitched to, I think she was genuinely interested. And then she started talking to other people. She talked to her husband, her friends, and it just, it fizzled out.
Okay.
I don't know. I would like to see, and that's something I'm hoping to accomplish, is to get more women investing in women. But also, much like Black Lives Matter, silence is compliance. And we need the 90%, the men who have had a slight head start accumulating wealth, to invest in women businesses and see us as a good bet, to see us as who can get across the finish line. I can, if you want that yellow Ferrari, whatever your dream is, I can make it true for you because you can build an empire on. Guys, don't get a yellow Ferrari. It's too cliche.
So Shark Tank is coming up.
Shark Tank doesn't take cannabis businesses.
Oh, that's
But
right.
yeah, there's actually 2 women produce a show called The Marijuana Show, which does take cannabis pitches, and there's a couple other ones.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. I mean, if the right person came along, I would still be interested. I'm not gonna kill myself looking. Maybe it'll come down to crowdfunding or just, you know, scaling slower. But I think the world is really being more woke than ever. And I think it's if I'm not speaking out, am I, you know, I get up and I sell this dream of cannabis industry, and there's so much opportunity, and there is. But, you know, and this is not just cannabis industry. It's endemic of, you know, me. Like I said, if we stay in our lane, but this just needs to improve across the board. So I can say to women with an honest heart, yeah, you can do this. Like, and women who do get invested in, most of them are graduates of Harvard, Yale, and MIT, statistically. That is largely, then, they would say, because of socioeconomic advantage and possible and connections through family. So much I fought for politically in my state and just in general is women, minority, and small business. Because people have said to me when I was getting started, well, why don't you just get 10, 20 grand from your family to get off the ground? That's not my family. That's not where I come from. You know, I got a credit card in the mail and I spent $2,000 on a credit card, and that's how I started my business. And that's fine. But, you know, so when we're blaming people that they don't, you know, forget VC money, forget the amount of sales you need to get to that point. What about when we're talking about private equity investments and these women are coming in cold and they say, well, what are your sales? Well, you know, I'm a young woman in my 20s. I just got out of college. I'm in a ton of debt. I'm working my first job. I don't have family money. How do they get started? Because they're going to be told, all you have is an idea. Get out of here. And we need to recognize strong, intelligent women. And maybe it's not right out of college, but when you've been doing something for a decade and people are still treating you poorly, then we really need to look at, well, why? When I know so many men who are less qualified, with less experience, who are less prepared, who are getting invested in way easier.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. You talk about staying in your lane. You said that a couple of times. How do you change this from the lane, from within? Because you're dealing with an old boys club, kind of.
Yeah.
And so what do women need to do in order to affect some change here?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I like a lot of the old boys. You know, that's a shame about it too. I was interviewing someone on my podcast the other day, and he admitted his boys club, and I agreed with him. And we're both like, all right, you know what? If we recognize it, that's okay. But let's try to change it. How do we change that? Well, you know what? I think a big part of why it was male dominated for a long time, and this is something we discussed, was the illegality of it. And perhaps women can be less averse to law breaking. And maybe that speaks to an intelligence on women of not wanting to break the law. Maybe it's more conservative nature, whatever. But that was kind of what we came up to, and I'm an expert on it. But whatever your theory is, women haven't been as involved. But now they are. Now they want in. Whatever, we've hit a tipping point where, and because we're a new industry, we could get it right from the start. You know, tech is a very male dominated. I always read all the science fields. There's typically male dominated fields. But cannabis, there's interest from women now, especially in CBD. And we have a chance to get it right. So let's not be one of those fields that's a boys' club. Let's realize women can be just as good a bet. Let's have support women businesses. And, let's move the needle, because I think America is at such a turning point. You know, we're going to have a new normal, and let's make our new normal a lot better than the old normal. And, I'm open to ideas, and I want people to reach out to me. I would love to talk about this for a half hour, and I've coming out, and my podcast, Trailblazing with Tiramisu, listen to the podcast. But, I'd rather talk about fun stuff. But what I'm really hoping
so I'm a guy, but I'm a female business owner. Pretend for a second, okay? And I go to a pitch meeting. What do I do? Do I put that suit on? Do I try and fit the mold, and then when I get the deal, then prove myself as a female business owner and executive, or is there something I need to do to get them to see me that way initially?
Darren, I don't know. I wish I
Because
could
you
tell
can't
you what
just show the
I'm
sign
doing
up. You
now.
talked about putting a suit on and trying
Yeah,
that kind of thing and showing a 35-page perspectives, and it didn't really
it didn't work. I could tell you what I'm
didn't
doing
work.
now. I'm wearing what makes me happy. I'm
Yeah.
wearing pink lipstick, and I run a podcast. Every episode, the guest will say, what do we wear? What's the dress? I said, you can wear whatever you want, however you want to present yourself, that's fine. I will be wearing a t-shirt because I'm done. I'm done putting on a costume to be who you need me to be to respect me. You should respect me for what's between my ears, for my accomplishments, for my intelligence, and for my passion. You should not respect me because I wore a gray suit, So do I think women should have to conform to a mold? I mean, to a degree, of course, if you're going into a business meeting that requires a suit, yes, put a suit on. I'm not saying be an idiot. Don't wear a shirt to
Don't wear the booth babe outfit.
don't wear it to your grandma's funeral. Don't wear a wedding. There's a time and a place that requires a certain dress code if you're going to a nice restaurant. But don't feel like leave the house. You have to look like a piece of cardboard to not be sexualized, because that's what I was doing, was actively trying to make it so you couldn't sexualize me.
Do you think if you go to enough of, and I know we're just kind of isolating this on pitch meetings here, but if you go to enough pitch meetings, are you going to find somebody a male that says, wow, this is really interesting, I'd like to hear more about this, and not worry that you're a female?
I think you will. I do believe there's a lot of guys out, a lot of great working in cannabis who I know. I mean, 2 people who I talked to today about, I reached out to because I trust their opinions and I confide in them. We're both men. Sure, if you keep pounding the pavement, I think absolutely you will. Are you going to have to?
What you have to do to find that company that you align with.
Yeah, but should you have to pound the pavement 20, 30 times harder than a man? No.
No, of course not.
No.
So
let me ask you what I want.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's just what I want to come out of this. A little bit of making it easier for women, making men to see that awareness. Yeah.
Okay, let's take the female out of it. Do you see a perception that these people still have a perception about people in the cannabis industry that, oh, it's a bunch of hippies, or they're just a bunch of stoners, and not real business people?
I think that exists, yes. Which is another thing I have tried to overcome, and that perhaps overrated for, is being who's been around a long time. So if you look at old pictures of me, dude, I would, living the dream, I was
you were a brunette too, weren't you?
I still am technically. Yes, but yeah. So you know what? Is something to overcome the stereotype for sure. But I think a lot of people who are investing in cannabis right now, they want to have the suit on, and that's fine. You should wear a tie-dye shirt to a pitch meeting. No one should. But yeah, I don't think it's a problem for men as much. I really don't. I think even, you could, hang out with them and go get some scotch and cigars and maybe rip out a joint and smoke some weed with them. I've seen guys socialize to be much more candid. It comes down to, if I curse, if a guy's like, oh, drops an F-bomb, oh, he's a straight shooter, that guy takes no shit, he doesn't fuck around. If I say that, she's so trashy. Woman has no class. It's, if a guy is tough and stern, he shows strong leadership qualities. If I do, I'm a bitch. So it's tail this time, double standards. I think women always have to overcompensate to be treated equally. I'm not trying to rewrite the world. People have their opinion.
Trying to open the door a little bit.
I'm just trying to move the needle a little bit. I'm just trying to say, if someone has an idea, have faith that a woman can get your project across the line. faith that a woman can build you an empire. You can have the foundation, put it on her shoulders, and she's gonna, she's gonna do you proud. That's all I need.
Nice. Well, this is how it starts. You try and get the word out.
Yeah.
And you share the stories that you did, and hopefully people will realize that this kind of thing happens, and it is happening, and it's wrong.
So I hinted at this sexual assault. I mean, no one raped me. It wasn't. I wish there was a down word for that. But
yeah,
this
but
same
sexual assault it's still wrong.
It's heavy,
no matter
it's a
what
heavy
level
word.
it's at.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it was that till I told the story. I'm like, you know what this guy did to me? And they were like, you were really assaulted. I was like, are you sure? They were like, yeah, that's. I was like, oh, okay. But no, whatever word you want to use for it. Here's what happened. So the same. I wouldn't have taken the meeting if you were a woman guy. Wants to meet again. He says, look, I got more people I want to introduce you to. Meet Chili's for a drink. And someone said to me, well, that was your first hint. Investors don't take you at Chili's. All right, fair. But
probably not.
Anyway, I show up again in a suit, come from a pitch earlier that day. And I'm drinking water because right out of the gate, this is super shady. And he starts talking to me about taking me to a bathhouse, like an all nude, like Korean. Yeah. And then he starts, he starts telling me about how he'd like take me in the city. And he's like, it could be like a date. And I was like, don't you have a wife and kids? And, and he's just, oh, ha, 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 and, it got to the point where, what was it? Oh, he said, look, you have to have three things to be good in business. You have to be intelligent, you have to be capable, but you have to be my friend. And he's like, you're intelligent and capable, but we're not friends. And he's like, if you do for me, then I can do more for you. I can make better deals. I could get you a better percent, but we're going to have to be friends more first.
And did he put his hand on your leg when he said that?
He did not. We were across the table. I think I was out of reach. But he was, making a lot of nude and sexual references to the point where, and he kept trying to get me a drink, and I was drinking water because I was like, this is going no place good. I just keep my wits about me, get the hell out of here. So I about to leave, and he says, can I walk you your car? I said, no, I could walk myself to my car. And then he insists, fine, walk me in my car. And as soon as we get to the car, of course, and this man is very much my senior, like I said, married, children, not anyone, there was no flirting, there was no attraction. Leans in, just grabs me, starts making out with me. I push him away. I say, no, I'm sorry, I don't see you that way. Grabs me by the ass, pulls me in, forces himself, starts making out with me again. I push him away again. I get in my car and I start crying. And what did I do to deserve that? I wanted money for a CBD company. That's it.
But you didn't realize at the time that was a sexual assault.
I didn't. I just thought I said no meant no. That shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have been manhandled the second time. I shouldn't have had a tongue forced in me. But when I think sexual assault, I think of someone getting raped. Maybe that's my own ignorance, but I always think, well, I wouldn't want to say, woe is me, and minimize someone who's really had a more traumatizing experience. But
even after that, you said he came back and thought he was your friend.
Yeah, well, no, this guy I've never seen again, but he kept texting me because I didn't text him after that. I obviously was just like, and he kept saying like, hey, I haven't heard from you. I have more deals for you. And I was just like, ignore. And then I guess he probably sent me a drunk text. It was late one night. It was like, you disappeared. I will never help you again. You were not getting invested in. This is your type of communication skills. And I was just like, dude, don't talk to me. You're a creep. Like, I just deleted and blocked. And I was like, but do you see what I'm saying? He didn't even realize.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say from the guys, I'm sorry that happened. That is just wrong to begin with.
Thank you. He didn't even realize, like, you should stop contacting them. So he
turned into a stalker, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. There were, and before that, it was texting me like just a little too late to be like, start being like, hey, we should get a drink sometime. But like, I don't know. But that you get so many no's, you start to say, and people will say, hey, their money's still green. See a term sheet. you know? So you start to think like, what's the game? Where does it stop? Where am
So,
I? Yeah, I don't know.
okay, so go back again to my question. Female entrepreneurs, what do they need to do so this doesn't happen? Do they just need to be aware that it does happen and stop at that point? Or what, because they don't want, there's a lot of young female entrepreneurs in this business
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, you know what? And you get into victim blame. People say, well, what were you wearing? Were you drunk? I was wearing a suit and drink water. So I even if you want to victim blame and say, oh, well, don't dress like that. Keep your wits about you. I did all those things and it all happened. So, I mean, at a certain point, we have to educate the men. Am I teaching myself to hold a drink like this? To cover my assets? Why am I being taught to protect myself from predators? Why aren't we teaching the predators, hey, maybe just don't assault women?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So I don't know what to say to women. It's that be smart, protect yourself. Try to surround yourself. There's lots of great people in cannabis. I love this industry, and I have so many good people. And if you notice, I'm not saying anyone's name. I'm not even saying an identifying characteristic about a career, a race, a age. I'm not looking to ruin anyone's life. I'm not looking to ruin my life. I don't want to be the person you can't tell a joke around. Honestly, terrible sense of humor. Like, I've been offended by it. I'm probably highly inappropriate a lot of the time. So I don't want people to treat me differently. I want to be one.
Are you a member of Women Grow?
Yes, I've spoken at several Women Grow events. I think it's a great organization. And yeah, it's women are supporting women in ways which I've not experienced back in I'm talking about the nostalgia days when there weren't a lot of women around. It was a boys club and I was one of the boys. But now there's a lot of women around, and even just us tagging each other or saying, oh, check out her products, they're great. Or me going to a Women Grow event and saying, contact me anytime. I want to succeed. If I can help you, if I can make an introduction, if I can mentor in any, don't hesitate, reach out, because women helping women is how we make things better. I'm not a type of girl like that. Yeah, so I think we just need some of the men to realize that this is not okay. And I think the world is ready for that. And we might be the generation at the time where we actually do change this, I hope. And I want people to follow me and reach out to me and contact me. And if you think I'm saying something stupid, tell me. If you think I'm saying something good, let me word out. Whatever it is. I'm not claiming to be any kind of genius or expert, but really do think there's an issue here that needs change.
Okay, let's jump back. Just remind, if people have just tuned in the middle of this, let's remind them again about your product.
Would love to. Okay.
I'm going to put something up here. It's blazenbakery.com. That's where they can find you and contact you, correct?
Yes, blazenbakery.com. You can get all my products there. On social media, I'm either at Blazin Bakery or at I am Tiramisu.
And they can find out about your podcast there as well, correct?
Yes, my podcast is available everywhere. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google, everywhere you ask. I'm everywhere. It's called Blazin with Tiramisu. We have some really great guests. A lot of Jersey people. I'm starting to expand to a broader now with Cali people on. I have a real actor coming on this week, and we do one at the Down Long Branch Secret Stash, Kevin Smith's, which is recorded at the studio there. Yeah, just a lot of fun. It's cannabis culture, so definitely check that out.
Okay, but the brownie mix is what started it all.
This is what started all the trouble. So Blazin Brownie, Blazin Bakery, it's an optimized brownie mix. It will make your brownie stronger. It will make them yummy. It has soy lecithin, which is an emulsifier. It's used in pharma. It goes through your bloodstream quicker, more efficiently, quicker out of effect. The liver metabolizes THC, makes it happen a little sooner, hits you harder. So it works well in that way. It absorbs more oil. There's coconut oil in there, a higher fatty acid, medium chain triglycerides. It's just optimized mix. It's all natural. There's nothing, it could be sold in all 50 states. It's in smoke shops in every state. And Yeah. And then we have, where'd the microwave version go? We have a microwave version. So same thing. It makes a single serving mug brownie. You can have a real pot brownie in under 3 minutes. It's a couple, and the vial measuring cup. So you just put this in a mug with water and herb. You decarb in microwave. The whole process takes 3 minutes, and it's just as effective. So that's a fun product.
And for retailers, you can sell this anywhere, and you can send it to them as a wholesale.
So yeah, I do wholesale. I do what's it called? Yes, distribution pricing as well.
Right. But because there's no THC and no CBD in this, and it's not related, you can have this for sale anywhere.
Exactly. And it works well in conserved states, actually, because the easier it is to get an edible, the less wants to light their oven. So it's a great product. If the laws, the better it sells, to be quite honest. And then the other ends where there is legalization, it's very cost effective for people who maybe, you can get your flower at an affordable price, but when you're buying individual edibles, that adds up very quickly. Also, if you have a certain strain that works for you for whatever your condition and you want to customize, then you might want to make your own edibles, which can be, an onerous process and can get costly. So it allows for customization in medical states. It allows you cost effective if you're on a budget. And if you're in a state with highly restrictive laws, then this is your bet for edibles.
Nice.
And then furry friends.
The furry friends. We don't want to forget those guys.
Furry friends, yes. My baby. We have a calming one. We have another one that is for joint mobility with glucosamine, MSM, chondroitin, turmeric, good stuff. This one has a melatonin blend called Melabonin. So this is really fun. I absolutely love it. I was saying we get some bad quality CBD in this country. And if a human consumes it, we'll live to tell the if a dog consumes it, kidney or liver failure from contaminated CBD.
Like a dog can eat one grape and have liver failure.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're talking about,
to be protective of them.
Yeah, like I put garbage in my body through the years, if we're being honest. So if I eat some toxic CBD, I'll probably wake up tomorrow. It'll be the worst. But
let's hope let's take that word optimize and let's just say let's hope we optimize a lot of this industry, whether it be for the CBD, for the THC, for the brownies, or the females' place within the industry and people's perception and reaction to them.
Can I add one product? I just bath bomb press. So that's the thing we're doing. So stay tuned.
You're doing what? I mean, you cut out right there. What did you say?
Oh, a bath bomb. So that's the
bath
next thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll be doing CBD bath bombs. That's the next product. So I'm saying that.
Nice.
So.
All right. Well, Tara, thank you for being on today. I really appreciate it. This was a very interesting conversation, and I hope people can get something and learn something and move forward with it.
Absolutely. Darren, thank you. And Monica HQ for setting this up. I posted that statistic about % of going to women, and within 48 hours, here I am. So thank you so much for helping me spread this message. Thank you, HQ. You guys are just awesome.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Tara. Have a good day. And everybody else, as we always say, stay well, stay safe, stay tuned.